The factory hums with the sound of machinery, the rhythmic clanking of metal, and the deep buzz of the machines filling the air. It's a place of hard work and even harder lessons. Among the workers, a young man stands in the corner, his hands steady, his focus unbroken as he carefully adjusts a part on a conveyor belt. It's his first year on the job, and he's eager to prove himself. He's learning fast, but there's someone he admires more than anyone else. A man in his late 50s, worn but wise, who moves through the factory like he owns the place, his mentor. The old man doesn't speak much. He watches, guides, and quietly imparts lessons that the young man is desperate to understand. One evening, after a long shift, the old man sits beside the young man as they sip on lukewarm coffee in the break room. The low hum of machines outside is a reminder of the never-ending work. Remember, the mentor says, his voice slow but firm. In here, actions speak louder than words. You've got to speak less and do more. Let your work show your worth. But above all, keep learning. You need to master everything, from the smallest screw to the largest machine. The day you think you know it all is the day you stop growing. The young man listens intently, the weight of the mentor's words sinking in. 10 years later, the factory has changed around him, but his dedication has not. He's now a technician, the same role his mentor once held. He works hard, takes pride in his work, and tries to stay humble, just as he was taught. But there's a problem. His colleagues, some with less experience, are being promoted. They're moving up, earning more, while he stays stagnant. The same position, the same pay. One afternoon, he feels the weight of it all. The factory floor feels colder, the machines louder, and the days blur into one another. He decides it's time to visit his mentor. The old man's home is quiet, nestled on the outskirts of the city. The walls are lined with old books and photos of the past, times when things were simpler, but the wisdom was still hard-earned. The young man sits across from his mentor in a room lit only by the soft glow of a single lamp. His mentor looks at him, sensing something is wrong. "What troubles you, my friend?" the old man asks. His eyes, though tired, are sharp as ever. The young man sighs deeply. "I've followed your advice all these years. I've stayed quiet, worked hard, and kept learning. But others with less experience have been promoted. They're getting ahead, while I stay in the same place. It doesn't make sense." The old man leans back, his eyes thoughtful. He pauses for a long moment, considering his next words carefully. "Are you indispensable to the factory?" he asks, his voice steady. The young man is taken aback. "Of course, I'm the one they rely on when things go wrong. I fix the machines, handle the tough jobs. I know this place inside and out." The old man nods slowly. "Then let's see if that's true. I want you to take a day off. Any reason you want. Just a day for yourself." The young man is surprised. He had expected advice about working harder or proving his worth. But this seemed strange. "Take a day off? But won't that make things worse?" "Trust me, take a day off. You'll see something important." The next morning, the young man takes his mentor's advice and leaves the factory for the day. He doesn't know what to expect, but he's curious. When he returns the following day, the manager calls him into the office. The young man's stomach churns, his nerves on edge. Had his absence been noticed? Had his role been questioned? The manager is waiting for him with a serious look. Things were a mess yesterday while you were gone. The other guys couldn't fix the problems you handle every day. They struggled, and the factory slowed down. The young man feels a small wave of pride. It's true, he was the one who kept everything running smoothly. Because of that, we're promoting you. We need you in a higher position. You've earned it. With his new promotion, the young man begins to feel more secure in his position. His hard work is finally being recognized. Now, in a senior role, he feels a growing sense of power. He's trusted with more responsibilities, and things at the factory run smoother in his absence. This sense of pride builds over time, and from that day on, whenever he feels undervalued, he takes a day off. Upon returning, he finds that the situation has improved to his satisfaction. This pattern continues for several months. At first, it feels good. The factory operates without him. The problems that arise are handled by his team, and they manage just fine. But as he continues to take days off, the sense of importance that once made him indispensable begins to waver. His colleagues, though capable, start to adjust to his absence without much disruption. Then one day, the young man is shocked to find that he's blocked from entering the factory. To his dismay, he discovers that his employment has been terminated. He can't believe it. Confused and desperate, he returns to see his mentor to figure out how things had gone so wrong. Wounded and confused, the young man returns to his mentor's home. This time, he feels defeated, his confidence shattered. He sits down heavily, his eyes searching the floor, unable to meet the mentor's gaze. I lost my job. I don't understand. I followed your advice. I took days off, and it worked at first. But then they fired me. The old man, calm as ever, looks at him with understanding. You only heard part of the lesson. The young man looks up confused. What do you mean? The old man leans forward, his voice soft but firm. You understood that a light bulb that's always on is taken for granted. People don't notice it when it's working. It's only when it goes off that they realize its value. You learned that part well. The young man nods, the memory of his promotion fresh in his mind. But there's a sense of realization beginning to dawn on him. But if a light bulb goes off too often, people stop relying on it. Eventually, they'll replace it with one that doesn't need to be turned off. They'll get something more reliable. The young man's eyes widen. He's beginning to understand. You made yourself indispensable by being consistent. But when you started taking time off too frequently, they realized they could manage without you. They didn't need a light bulb that could go off whenever it wanted. They needed someone reliable. The young man slumps back in his chair, the weight of his mistake sinking in. He had thought he was proving his worth by taking time off, but now he understands that the key to success isn't just being indispensable. It's about balance, reliability, and showing up when it matters most. The mentor's voice is firm, but full of compassion. In life, you cannot allow yourself to be taken for granted, but you also can't make your absence a regular habit. People will notice when you're gone, but if you're always stepping away, they will find a replacement. Do your work diligently. Show up when it matters. And don't let your value be defined by how often you leave. The young man nods, understanding the second half of the lesson he missed. So, it's about balance. The old man smiles gently. Exactly. Life rewards those who are reliable, consistent, and always present when needed. Find balance, and life will reward you in return. As the young man leaves his mentor's home, the air feels different. The evening sun casts a soft glow over the world, and he feels a sense of peace beginning to settle in. He's learned a valuable lesson, not just about work, but about life. From that day forward, he approached his role with a renewed sense of purpose. He understood that it wasn't about being indispensable by being absent. It was about finding balance, showing up when needed, and being reliable